In Chancellor Park, Tessa bursts into applause after Daniel plays her a song he wrote and throws her arms around him, which takes him aback. As they sit, Tessa shows him how to finger his guitar more effectively, and he asks about Mariah. She moves away and explains that her wife is still avoiding her family. Mariah's in therapy, but she doesn't see how that will help them all heal, given that something very dark is clearly in play. Tessa wonders if she should be afraid for herself and Arya. She'd do anything to help Mariah, but she won't let her in. Daniel reminds Tessa how much she and Mariah love each other and suggests she avoid filling in the blanks with theories that might be wrong. Tessa worries Mariah could have done something awful that she can't come back from. Ian's return may have made her snap. There may be no path forward. This might be the end for me and Mariah, she admits. In Crimson Lights, Mariah is stunned by Sharon's update on what happened in Nice. Sharon wishes she'd stayed home. Mariah tries to dodge questions, but her mother needs to know why she left her wife and child. Mariah explains she's in therapy and still talks to Tessa about Arya. She clearly doesn't want to discuss this, but Sharon can't stop talking. Eventually, Mariah states that this is how it has to be. If she's going to be in her daughter's life again, she has to reinvent herself. Hearing this shocks Sharon, who can't imagine why that would be necessary when they all know she's a good person. "You don't know that," Mariah corrects her. Sharon argues that they have all done terrible things, but you have to forgive yourself. Sharon keeps urging her to open up. "Enough!" Mariah snaps. She threatens to distance herself from her mother and storms out. Nate hurries into society and Audra's embrace. He gets the sense she needed it as much as he does. They sit and he tells her things in Chicago were rough. As he and Amy sorted out the funeral arrangements, he's afraid that she's shutting down and will back out of her cancer treatment. After the funeral, they can try bolstering her spirit. Nate senses there is something going on with Audra. With some prodding, she claims she's backing out of letting Victor back Vibrante. Nate has never trusted that man, but assumes he did something to change her mind about trusting him. He continues questioning her, but she changes the subject. Lily interrupts them and pays Nate her condolences. She explains she's on her way to meet with Cain. Winters and every other company are still his potential targets. This sounds extreme to him, but Lily refuses to be caught off guard again. When she explains Victor is sure Cain is a threat, Nate suggests he could be stirring the pot for his benefit. Lily remains determined to discover what she can. Playing with his fruit plate, Nate complains about how much he hates Cain being in their lives. Using a key card, Lily enters Cain's suite at the athletic club. She's surprised when Holden shows up at the door. He says that Dumas asked him to meet about a business opportunity. She explains that Dumas is her ex-husband and his name is Cain Ashby, and that she had no idea he was a power player. Lily asks what kind of offer her ex made him. Holden explains that Dumas was impressed with the work he did with Damien. Lily's startled when he starts venting about his old pal firing him and moving on with his life. She realizes that Holden doesn't know he was killed. Lily rather bluntly tells him something happened in Nice and Damien is dead. Holden reels as Lily explains that his old friend was actually murdered. Lily warns Cain was there when it happened, and warns him to think twice about anything her ex-husband offers him. Jack sees Kyle pacing in the Abbott manse, so his son fills him in on Audra spinning things to Claire. Jack hopes she's not falling for it. Pouring some coffee, Kyle explains that Audra is trying to create a rift. He assures his dad that he stopped Audra's seduction bid before it went too far. Kyle claims he's been honest and upfront with Claire about everything, even though he hasn't, and complains that Victor set a target on his back. Jack urges him to be careful because Audra does not seem to be giving up without a fight. His son fills him in on how furious Claire is with her grandfather and assures his dad that he won't let any of this cause a rift with his girlfriend. At the tack house, Claire vents to Victoria that Victor has sunk to a new low by making a deal with Audra to destroy her trust in Kyle. Inexplicably, Victoria seems surprised that he'd do something like this. Claire explains that her grandpa and Audra have been in cahoots to sabotage her relationship. It's infuriating, and she doesn't even want to see him again. She's sure that Audra wouldn't risk ruining things with Nate unless Victor made her an offer she couldn't refuse. Victoria asks if she believes Kyle's claims that nothing happened with Audra in Nice. Her daughter admits that Audra brings out Kyle's dark side. She's been lied to before. She worries she's making a mistake believing him over Audra. Victoria points out Audra has an agenda and promises she'll help her through this. It feels like the ground is shifting beneath Claire's feet. It's too much, and she doesn't have her father to ask for advice. They assume Cole would have told her not to leap to the worst conclusion. Her mom suggests that she let it go until she has reason not to. Claire is confident that Kyle will go above and beyond to prove himself to her. Victoria bumps into Jack at Crimson Lights, and he pays his respects for Cole. She appreciates it and brings up the issues Claire has been having with Audra. They share what they know of the conspiracy with Victor. They agree Audra seems emboldened, and Victoria is scared about how far she will go, given that Claire is in no state to deal with it. Kyle wanders into society as Nate exits. He almost says something to him, but sees Audra's glare and stops. Once Hastings has exited, Kyle gets in Audra's face and warns she's lucky he didn't rat her out after what she tried pulling on Claire. She insists something happened between them in France. Kyle tells her she lost and that it's over. He accuses her of being desperate, so she accuses him of underestimating her. "Back off now," he warns. She keeps pushing him to admit it took all his strength to stop from sleeping with her. Audra has no doubt she could seduce him. As she declares Kyle is weak and can't resist her, she pulls him into a kiss right as Claire walks through the door. The Newman's jaw drops at the sight of them. "Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching." So let's dive into today's video. On The Young and the Restless, some key moments happened that will definitely affect some storylines moving forward. In case you missed it, here's what happened. Claire realized she couldn't catch a break. Yet again, someone who claimed to love her, and someone who was supposed to be looking out for her, didn't want her to be loved. She grew up with that behavior from Aunt Jordan, controlling her every move and wanting her to be filled with hate. But now she has her grandfather, Victor, working against her as well. Kyle had the opportunity to tell Claire the truth. In fact, he claimed he was. But instead, he left out the part that he kissed Audra, and now he's given her the ability to hold something over his head. But Audra seems to be right. Even if it's to spar with her, Kyle just can't stay away. Audra won't stop finding a way to win back Victor's support of her company, and Kyle is not as good as he thinks at fending her off. With a $5 million contract and a promise to leave town on the line, you would think he would be more careful. Victor would love to use that as leverage to get control of Abbott to keep Cain at bay. Claire finally thought she'd found love with Kyle, but Victor has gone out of his way to break them up. Claire found out at her father's funeral just how low Victor could go, or so she thought. Afterward, Kyle told her that Victor had hired Audra to split them up. Claire thought nothing had happened between Kyle and Audra in France, but Audra implied otherwise, leaving Claire disillusioned and full of doubts. This week, Audra kisses Kyle, in front of Claire. Meanwhile, Cain revealed that he was perfectly capable of playing several people against one another at the same time. He told Phyllis and Billy that he wanted to take over all the major companies in Genoa City, including Abbott. Although Billy was hurt that Jill once again treated Cain like her favorite son, Cain saw something in Billy that most people don't. Cain told Phyllis that he could tell that Billy was actually a very caring person. That moment will likely come back to benefit Billy in the future, even though Phyllis is doing her best to undermine him. Phyllis holds a grudge with Billy for firing a few times, but on top of it, she doesn't want to lose her opportunity to be Cain's second-in-command. Cain had an interesting conversation with Phyllis that bordered on flirting, but then Phyllis lied to Billy and told him that Cain wanted him gone. Did she just wreck her chances herself? Cain's real goal is getting Lily back, and she plans to get closer to him to find out what he's up to. But he knows her well enough to know when she's faking it. Maybe using Phyllis to get a little jealousy is in order. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Monday, August 11th, have Jack seeking out Victoria's help, Sharon worrying about Mariah, and Lily delivering bad news to Holden. Viewers need a scorecard to keep up with the alliances being formed in the business world in Genoa City, now that Cain is trying to gain control of all the big companies in town. On Monday's show, watch for Jack to see Victoria's help. Things must be dire if an Abbott is reaching out to a Newman. However, Jack and Victoria have gotten along fine in the past. For a time, he was her stepdad, and Jack was instrumental in getting Victoria to come back home years ago after she moved to Italy. Will Victoria agree to help Jack, or will she be too concerned by what Victor might think of her conspiring with his sworn nemesis? Now that Sharon is back in town, she can tend to Mariah and her situation. While Sharon was in France, Mariah made the difficult decision to separate from Tessa because of what occurred while she was out of town with a mystery man. On Monday's show, watch for Sharon to worry about Mariah. She cares about her daughter deeply and only wants what's best for her. Sharon's been in her share of jams over the years. If anyone knows how to help Mariah, it's going to be her mother. Lily is going to deliver some bad news to Holden on Tuesday's show. We can only imagine it has to do with the death of Holden's pal, Damien. The two men were at odds when Damien went to France, so he and Holden aren't going to be able to repair the damage to their friendship. Holden is going to be left alone to not only lament the loss of his friend, but he is going to have to live with the reality that they parted on bad terms. Holden is going to need some support after he learns of Damien's death. We can see him turning to Claire, whom he bonded with while half of Genoa City was abroad. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nick Newman will make 3 explosive moves soon. It looks like a sinister character transformation could be brewing as Nick enters a new chapter following all the drama in France. No one can blame Nick for being fed up after getting held hostage and seriously injured on Cain Ashby's property. Nick barely survived that mess, so he's definitely holding a grudge when it comes to Cain. Damien, Cain, and Chance Chancellor lost their lives thanks to all the chaos with Carter, so Nick knows Cain is a dangerous trouble magnet. There's also the matter of Cain's shady corporate agenda, and how that's going to affect Newman Enterprises as well as Chancellor. With all this in mind, let's discuss those 3 explosive moves we mentioned, and talk about what's ahead for Nick during the week of August 11 to 15. 1. Nick's anger unleashed. For starters, Nick's anger will be unleashed during a confrontation with Billy Abbott. Since it'll seem like Billy is signing up for a Cain alliance, that may be what provokes Nick's wrath. Nick won't realize Billy is playing along with Cain's plans as part of a different plot to protect Jabot. Instead, Nick may assume Billy's being reckless and selfish by supporting Cain after what they all went through. 2. Nick's vengeful job on Victor's orders. Next, Nick seems poised to accept a vengeful job since Victor Newman will recruit him for one. Victor will push Nick to help with an enemy's takedown, and there's a good chance that enemy will be Cain. Y&R spoilers say Victor will strike back at Cain in the coming episodes, so he'll hope Nick's willing to pitch in and embrace his fierce Newman nature. 3. Nick shows Sharon his scary side. As for Sharon Newman, she could be a little unsettled by the changes in Nick following the nice trip. Sharon will see a different version of Nick, one that could scare her depending on how far he's willing to go to make Cain's downfall happen. Nick could get rather obsessed with Cain payback and leave Sharon feeling like she doesn't quite recognize him anymore. Could this get in the way of Sharon and Nick's potential romantic reunion? The Young and the Restless spoilers say Nick will undergo some character changes now that he's back from France, so stay tuned for all the shocking news to come. Spoilers for the upcoming week's episodes of The Young and the Restless from August 11th to August 15th, 2025 reveal that things might take a dramatic turn for the residents of Genoa City. Cain Ashby might settle in at Genoa City, while Phyllis Summers may end up supporting his corporate ambitions, but be in two minds about Billy Abbott being involved. Meanwhile, Tessa Porter might share her feelings about her partner, Mariah Copeland, with Daniel Romalotti Jr., and Sharon Newman may advise her daughter, Mariah, to move out of the apartment and reinvent herself. In addition to these developments, Claire Newman will end up witnessing Audra Charles kiss Kyle Abbott. In the upcoming week's episodes of The Young and the Restless from August 11th to 15, spoilers reveal that Cain Ashby may start living in Genoa City and find a place for himself in the town. Phyllis Summers may have a hard time ahead of her since she will try to support Cain's business ambitions and corporate deals while also juggling her feelings about Billy Abbott. Phyllis will make it known that she is uncomfortable with the idea of Billy doing business with Cain. However, Billy would pledge his full support for Cain's plans. Hence, he would clash with Phyllis. Meanwhile, things will also grow complicated for Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra as they attempt to balance their personal and professional lives together. Spoilers for the upcoming week's episodes of The Young and the Restless suggest that at the park in Genoa City, Daniel Romalotti Jr. will play a new song for Tessa Porter on his guitar, and he will end up impressing her. Feeling comfortable with him, Tessa will open up about her relationship with Mariah Copeland. Tessa will likely share that Mariah had recently started therapy and is considering whether she can fix her marriage with her. She will admit that Mariah has done things she can never forgive. Meanwhile, at Crimson Lights, Mariah will spend time bonding with her mother, Sharon Newman. She will tell Sharon that she is considering leaving Tessa and reinventing herself completely. In the upcoming week's episodes of The Young and the Restless, spoilers hint that at Society, Claire Newman will run into Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles. She would eventually watch the two of them kiss. However, she will see Kyle quickly pull away and put all the blame on Audra, and ask her to back off from her partner. Claire would also begin to doubt what might have happened between Kyle and Audra in Nice, France, while they were at Cain Ashby's party. She would end up interrogating Kyle as well. The great Victor Newman is at it again, and he never loses. If you've watched The Young and the Restless for more than 5 minutes, you know one universal truth: you do not poke the bear. And by bear, we mean the great Victor Newman. This man has toppled empires, crushed egos, and left more wreckage than a tornado at a wedding reception. But Cain Ashby? Oh, bless his little ambitious heart. He's come waltzing back into town, thinking he's going to snatch Chancellor Industries right out of his clutches, and by extension, right out of the hands of Victor's beloved Nikki. Let's pause for a moment to let the absurdity sink in. Cain has apparently decided that his recent boost in bank balance makes him bulletproof. Rich? Sure. Powerful? He thinks so, smarter than Victor Newman. That's where he's gone off the rails. The mustache isn't just watching Cain's every move. He's already 3 chess moves ahead, sipping scotch, and smiling that smug smile that means someone's about to be publicly humiliated. This isn't just a business move for Victor. It's personal. Nikki runs Chancellor Industries, and anyone trying to strip it away might as well be trying to take away his wife's crown jewels. And Victor does not share. In fact, the man has taken down far more seasoned sharks than Cain without breaking a sweat. Cain might have visions of grandeur, but Victor has a proven track record of winning, and he loves when his enemies underestimate him. Let's not forget, Victor's got an open tab of grudges. Phyllis, Billy. Oh, they're already on his to-destroy list. Now Cain's just given him the perfect opportunity to take down all 3 in one glorious, reputation-shattering swoop. Imagine Victor sweeping into Cain's hotel room with that deadly calm tone, a perfectly timed smirk, and a verbal dagger that makes grown CEOs cry. Cain won't even see it coming. Of course, this is Genoa City, so there will be fireworks, whispered threats, and the occasional glass of scotch thrown in someone's face before it's all over. But make no mistake, the minute Victor decides you're in his way, you've already lost. So Cain, here's a friendly piece of advice. Enjoy your fancy suits and your inflated ego while you can, because when Victor Newman goes nuclear, there's no bunker deep enough to save you, and from where we're standing, the countdown clock has already started. Kyle won't know what hit him. On the August 11th episode of The Young and the Restless, Kyle gloated to Audra that she has finally met her match, and he plans to destroy her, which might or might not include telling Nate how Audra threw herself at him, and he bravely deflected due to his pure and noble love for Sloche Airy. Audra let him get the threat out, though. We admit, she did look a smidge concerned when she thought Kyle would spill the beans right there in public. But she pulled herself together and switched from playing defense to offense. How far will she take it? And how will Nate react when she does? Audra has never been a sit-back and wait for things to happen to her kind of girl. She likes to take the bull by the horns, kind of like how she grabbed Kyle and kissed him today. We imagine she'll keep doing that moving forward, And that means telling Nate about what happened between her and Kyle in France before Kyle does, and putting her own spin on it, naturally. Audra will tell Nate everything, and she'll tell him why she did it too. Victor offered to support her company if Audra broke up Kyle and Claire. Easy, clean, honest. Audra went to France with a plan, and she executed her plan. She'd have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those darn kids who think they're in love. If Nate knows what's good for him, he'll listen to what Audra has to say, and he'll give her his complete support. After all, Nate knows what it means to betray people you claim to love for the sake of business. He should be totally on Audra's side and do whatever he can to make her plan succeed. And then Nate should ask for a piece of the action. In the somber aftermath of Chance Chancellor's tragic death, a heavy grief settles over Genoa City, felt most acutely by his mother, Nina Webster. She stands in rooms that hold his memory, needing an anchor in a world that has been irrevocably changed. That anchor arrives in a familiar silhouette, Ronan Malloy. Answering the call of family, Ronan returns, a shadow sharpened by distance, but softened by memory. He is here to support Nina, offering a quiet strength she desperately needs. But behind the grieving brother's eyes, the investigator is already at work, arranging the pieces of a puzzle that don't fit. He knows the official story of Chance's death, a panicked response to Damien's murder by a jealous underling, Carter, feels too neat. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers, running on pure adrenaline since her own recent ordeals, refuses to let the tragedy rest. She's not just walking through doors, she's breaching them, convinced that the convenient suicide of the killer is a cover-up orchestrated by a hidden hand. Her relentless pursuit of the truth, cataloging every anomaly from doctored security logs to suspicious deliveries, makes her a threat to whoever is pulling the strings. The city's grief inevitably brings Ronan and Phyllis into the same orbit. They are two old magnets who never lost their charge, their shared history, and distrust of easy answers, creating an instant, unspoken alliance. He trusts her instincts. She trusts his restraint. Together, they begin to see a pattern in the chaos, a scaffolding of lies built around the official narrative. This partnership immediately paints a target on their backs. The warnings begin as subtle, near-miss accidents. A truck swerving inexplicably into Phyllis's path, a tampered email meant to corrupt her investigation. But the threat soon escalates, targeting Nina in an attempt to pressure Ronan into backing down. It becomes clear they are not just solving a crime, they are provoking a powerful enemy who prefers their secrets buried. As Ronan provides a protective shield for his family and Phyllis follows the breadcrumbs of corruption, their combined efforts become a ticking time bomb. They are hunting for the truth, but the hunter has now become the hunted. The question is no longer just who was behind the tragic events, but who will be the next victim in a dangerous game where the mastermind is still watching from the shadows. Genoa City is reeling because Cain Ashby is back. But his return isn't the triumphant homecoming some expected. It's a storm, dark, dangerous, and carrying the weight of 3 deaths, shattered trust, and unfinished business. For Cain, this isn't just about revenge, it's about finishing what he started. Every loss, every failed scheme, every finger pointed his way has only sharpened his resolve. Damien Cain's death may remain an unsolved mystery, but the shadow it cast over Cain's life is permanent. And yet, while most of Genoa City views him as a pariah, a few still see something else, a man with unfinished chapters. But the walls are closing in. Once trusted allies have turned their backs, the infamous party, the night where everything spiraled into tragedy, is still a wound the town can't forget. Even if Cain wasn't the killer, he was the man who set the stage. Carter's betrayal, ending his own life after unearthing the darkest truths, cut deeper than any enemy's blade. Now, only Phyllis remains in Cain's corner. But for how long? She's wrestling with her own moral battles, and loyalty is a rare currency in this city. Then, a revelation shakes everything, thanks to Nate's sharp instincts. Audra, the woman everyone thought was Cain's rival, is in fact his sister. A sister who has been quietly pulling strings, shaping Cain's every move from behind the curtain. Her motives remain a mystery, but one thing is clear. Audra's been playing a long game, and she's not used to losing. The truth puts Nate in an impossible position: expose the family secret and destroy lives, or bury it and carry the weight himself. Because when Cain learns that his own blood has been manipulating him, the fallout will be explosive. Meanwhile, Cain is moving his chess pieces. He's forging an unlikely alliance with Billy Abbott and Phyllis, former enemies bound together by a shared mission: take down Victor Newman. Billy sees it as his chance to settle old scores. Phyllis, ever the strategist, knows that in Genoa City, power changes hands in the shadows. Secret meetings, covert deals, dangerous gambits. As old wounds reopen, new battles begin, and the lines between friend and foe blur. Cain's return doesn't just stir the waters, it sets off a tidal wave. And at the center of it all is one question: will Cain reclaim the life and power he's lost? Or will the web of lies, betrayal, and family secrets drag him under for good? Genoa City is about to be rocked in ways no one saw coming. Jill Abbott has returned, but not in the way anyone expected. In a recent episode, we only caught a glimpse of her through a video call with Billy and Cain, but that short conversation cracked open a door to a secret she's been keeping from her own family. And according to fresh spoilers, that secret is about to explode into a scandal decades in the making. Here's the shocker: Cain Ashby and Ashley Abbott may actually be half-siblings. Yes, you heard that right. Ashley's paternity has always been complicated. For years, she believed John Abbott was her father, until she learned the truth: her biological dad was Brent Davis, a man with a shadowy past and no visible family ties. But what if Davis did have another child, one he never knew about? Speculation is running wild that during Brent's time in Australia, he had a fling that resulted in a pregnancy, and that child could be Cain Ashby. We all know Cain's background has always been a bit murky. He's believed to be Colin Atkinson's son, but in the soap world, paternity tests are just invitations for plot twists. The key to unlocking this mystery? The late Catherine Chancellor's old diary. Spoilers tease that once this diary is discovered at the Chancellor Mansion, it will contain explosive revelations, possibly about Jill's past with Brent Davis. Could Jill have given up a baby years ago under pressure from Catherine? Could that baby be Cain? If true, the fallout will be seismic. A DNA test could confirm Cain and Ashley share the same father, and that Jill has been sitting on the truth all along. It would also explain Jill's lifelong soft spot for Cain, even when the rest of Genoa City doubted him. The consequences? Ashley, already under immense emotional strain, will be rattled to her core. Cain, suddenly a blood Abbott, would gain a claim to Jabot and the Abbott fortune, putting him directly at odds with Billy in a corporate power struggle. And Jack Abbott? Well, learning he has yet another brother might just be the twist that pushes him over the edge. Young and the Restless see some exciting new spoilers for next week, because Daniel Romalotti is a smitten kitten. He's falling in love, and also Jack Abbott's about to make a very big and risky move for the family. We've got the latest Y&R spoilers for the week of August 11th. We'll get into what is happening with Daniel, why Jack is risking so much, and what move Lily Winters is going to make next week. Let's start with the Abbotts. We know, of course, that Cain Ashby offered Billy Abbott the chance to work with him and Phyllis Summers at Arabesque, which is the company he plans to fold all the other companies he conquers under. But Cain said the caveat was that Billy had to agree that Jabba would be on their list of targets. Now, I think Cain was actually testing Billy. I do think Cain really wants to get his hands on Jabba, but that's not a big secret that he was telling Billy. What Cain was doing was seeing if he could trust Billy with that secret, or any secret. The answer seems to be no, because at the end of this week we're in now, we've got Billy talking with Jack at Society. And guess what? Billy tells Jack all about Cain's plans to take over all the companies in Genoa City, including Jabot. Billy knows that Cain's plan is a bold and risky move. But Billy also says, don't underestimate Cain, because he accomplished a lot under the alias Aristotle Dumas. So you can't say, this can't be done. Maybe Cain can do it. Then Jack is wondering if Cain really thought that Billy would sell Jack out and go behind his back and undercut him. In a moment of honesty, Billy upsets his big brother Jack, and he goes, "Yeah, I considered it." We all know Billy will do almost anything to get his hands back on Chancellor. But for now at least, it looks like he won't throw Jack and Jabot under the bus. Not yet. And if he does, at least Billy warned Jack so he can shore up their defenses at Jabot. In the end, Billy promises to have Jack's back, and Jack tells Billy that they need to work together to take down Cain. So Jack wants Billy to take the job at Arabesque and sabotage Cain from the inside. Also, Jack tells Billy he will remain the primary investor in Abbott. He won't sell his shares to Cain. He won't let him buy him out, and that way they've got backups. Then that's when Phyllis popped up and said it looked like Billy is betraying Cain to Jack. And yeah, Phyllis is right about that. But Billy of course lies and says that's not what he was doing talking to Jack. Phyllis tells Billy that Cain sent her to tell him Billy's out of the partnership. So he doesn't believe it. He thinks she's lying. We'll see if Phyllis is. While Billy is talking to Jack, Cain is over meeting with Victor Newman, who says he wants to work with Cain to target the Abbotts. We know Jack was willing to work with Cain to take down Victor to protect Claire Grace Newman and Kyle Abbott, so it's definitely getting messy with people deciding whether they want to work for or against Cain, or possibly both, and try to secretly betray him. The new guy in town, who's, a former guy from town, is definitely drawing lots of attention. So, in next week's Young and the Restless spoilers, Jack tells Diane Jenkins, while they're at the Abbott mansion, that he's got some concerns about the info he got from Cain and what he and Billy cooked up to deal with Cain's threat. It looks like Jack isn't certain that he can trust Billy. Jack tells Diane the only problem with his plan is that he has to put a lot of faith in Billy. That means Jack is taking a huge risk with the future of Jabot by trusting Billy not to betray them at all. That is a valid concern, because Billy's a wild card who likes living on the edge and is an adrenaline junkie and a gambling addict. That's a lot of trust in somebody that's sketchy. Also, next week in our spoilers, we have Danny Romalotti with his son Daniel. They are talking in the park. That's the same park where Daniel was hanging out with Tessa Porter and her daughter Aria. We had Daniel and Tessa kind of low-key flirty, looking at cloud animals after they got Aria to sleep. Daniel even offered to watch over and guard Aria if Tessa wanted to take a nap too. These are the first sparks of any kind of romantic interest Daniel's had with any woman since his ex-wife, Heather Stevens, was brutally murdered by Jordan Howard. So Daniel's been grieving a long time, and he's been processing. Maybe he's ready for something. Meanwhile, Tessa's grieving the end of her marriage to Mariah Copeland because her wife smothered some old dude with a pillow. We still don't know if that guy survived or not. Either way, what Mariah did has torn her marriage to Tessa apart. Daniel tells his dad, Danny, what's been going on with him and Tessa just hanging out, the guitar lessons, all that. That happens next week on Young and the Restless. Danny tells Daniel that it sounds like Tessa is starting to mean more to his son, to mean something. Daniel confesses to Danny that he's afraid he's starting to develop real feelings for Tessa. It seems like Daniel might be falling in love with Tessa, which is problematic because she is still married to Mariah, even though they are legally separated. In the state of Wisconsin, you can date if you're legally separated or get involved with somebody else. It won't affect your divorce or custody case as long as you have those documents, which they do. So, technically, Tessa wouldn't be doing anything wrong if she started dating Daniel or anybody. But of course, this could make things really messy for Tessa and even make her wife Mariah push for a divorce. Not to punish Tessa, but for her own good. Mariah has lurked around and she's seen Tessa looking happy and chill with Daniel. To be honest, it already looks like Young and the Restless was leaning towards a Tessa and Daniel pairing. We might even get some love triangle action, which will be very unusual. So Tessa and Daniel may get more serious soon, especially if he confesses his growing feelings to her. I suspect Tessa could tell him she feels the same, but at the same time, she may also say, "But it's too soon. My marriage is still in flux. I don't know if Mariah is ever going to come back," and she may tap pause on anything more right now than just being friends. Also, next week on Young and the Restless, spoilers tell us that Cain's choo-choo train rolls into Genoa City. and he's very excited, saying all aboard. That's right, Lily Winters walks aboard his train. If you remember, Victor suggested this week that Lily not avoid Cain, and instead he thinks Lily should lead Cain on. Make him believe they could have a future so she can get info to take Cain down from the inside. Lily just told her brother Devin Hamilton that it seems like the only way to stop Cain, but Devin doesn't like it. So, is Cain going to have true two traitors in his midst spying on him? Both Lily and Billy. We'll see. Genoa City, November 8th, 2025. The life of Kyle Abbott is spiraling out of control, and all eyes are on the impending implosion of his world. Spoilers for the upcoming week reveal that the secrets from his past with Audra Charles are a ticking time bomb, threatening to obliterate his future with Claire Grace and ignite a firestorm within the Newman family. The tension is already at a fever pitch. Claire's mother, Victoria Newman, feeling betrayed by her son-in-law, has forbidden her daughter from seeing Kyle, creating a painful rift between them. While Victoria sees only a man unworthy of her daughter's love, Claire is caught in an agonizing emotional whirlpool. Her love for Kyle battles against a growing, gut-wrenching suspicion that he is hiding something significant about his time in France with Audra. Claire's unease is palpable. She knows she's being dragged into a story she can't explain, and Kyle's evasiveness only deepens her anxiety. What Claire doesn't know is that her worst fears are true. While she worries from a distance, Kyle has already crossed a line. In a moment of weakness, he succumbed to Audra's calculated seduction, sharing a passionate kiss that confirms his betrayal. Audra, however, is not content with a secret victory. She is actively working to dismantle Kyle and Claire's relationship piece by piece. No longer just a ghost from the past, Audra has become a master manipulator in the present. She brazenly admitted to Claire that she lied about needing Kyle's phone charger, a small deception designed to plant a seed of doubt. She then twisted the knife, taunting Claire by claiming Kyle secretly wants her instead. Each word is a carefully aimed dart, and they are hitting their mark, leaving Claire confused and hurt. Consumed by guilt and fear, Kyle is crumbling under the pressure. His conscience is a constant torment, and he knows his silence is slowly poisoning the woman he loves. In a move of sheer desperation, Kyle contemplates a shocking gamble, proposing to Claire. He foolishly believes a ring on her finger might secure their bond before the ugly truth surfaces. However, this isn't a gesture of love, but a frantic attempt to trap Claire in a commitment built on a foundation of lies. The stage is set for an explosive confrontation. Kyle is trapped between two impossible choices: confess the truth and risk losing Claire forever, or remain silent and watch as Audra detonates his life. For Claire, a devastating heartbreak seems inevitable as she inches closer to discovering the full extent of Kyle's deceit. With Victoria watching from the sidelines, ready to protect her daughter at all costs, and Audra holding all the cards, the question is no longer if this relationship will shatter, but when. Can love possibly survive this level of betrayal? The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Victoria Newman is currently grieving Cole Howard. However, she will eventually have to find a way to move on without him. What could the brunette's life be like after she finishes the grieving process? Keep reading, and let's talk about some possibilities. The first possibility is Victoria and Nate Hastings rekindle their former romance. While everyone was in Nice, Victoria and Claire Grace Newman had to get through their grief without their family. Claire ended up leaning on Holden Novak. Meanwhile, Victoria Newman opened up to Nate. It was actually a really nice moment between these friends. Nate was really kind to Claire too. So, she could use that to tell Nate about Audra Charles' backfired seduction of Kyle Abbott in Nice. That would break them up and allow Nate and Victoria to reunite. I think they have both learned a lot since their last romance, and this time, it could last. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Victoria's next storyline could center around Claire's mental health. Victor Newman has pushed Claire over the edge. It happened on Cole's memorial. If that weren't enough, Kyle told Claire about Victor hiring Audra to seduce him. All of this together could be too much for Claire. Victoria might panic over her daughter's mental health. Going even further, could Claire totally snap? If that happens, we might see Claire take a page from her evil Aunt Jordan's playbook. The more that Claire loses, the more vengeful she might get. With her history, that is a girl I would not mess around with, and Audra is about to learn that lesson. Fans recently saw Adam Newman agree to a truce with Victoria. It's about time, as that was getting beyond ridiculous. It was really nice to see Adam reach out to Victoria after Cole's death. With Victor gearing up the entire Newman family to battle Cain Ashby, there can't be any divisions or infighting. While Victoria has never had any kind of faith in Adam, if they team up, she could be surprised. Plus, with Adam's history of scheming, he could beat Cain at his own game. Not only could they discover that they make a dynamo team, Adam and Victoria might even become friends.